Hello everybody. Before I start this video, I just want to wish everybody a happy New Year's. Anyway, today we will be going over the 1960s muscle cars and we'll be ranking them on a tier list from S to F, S being the greatest and F being the worst. Anyway, let's get into the video. Now, starting with the 1968 Mercury Cyclone Spoiler. Now this car, despite its performance appearance, the Cyclone Spoiler failed to live up to its muscle car hype. It was overshadowed by better performing cars and didn't offer the aggressive performance it was expected of from a muscle car. Therefore, I'm giving this an F. Next, we have something quite the contrary of the Mercury Cyclone Spoiler, the 1969 Chevrolet Camaro Z28. As this car stands out as one of the best combinations of handling and performance, offering a finely tuned chassis and a potent 302 V8 engine. Its agile handling makes it one of the most top tier muscle cars. Therefore, I'm giving this car an S tier, the best tier that you can give a car, and only for the best cars like the Chevrolet Camaro. Next, we have the 1967 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 396. With huge power from its 396 V8, the Chevelle SS was a straight-line monster, though it lacked the finesse and handling of more balanced muscle cars, like the Camaro. So therefore, the Chevelle is getting an A tier. It's really good, really solid, but only if it had better handling. It would have had an S tier. Next up, we have the 1967 Chrysler Newport. Now, the Newport didn't belong in the muscle car segment. Despite its big engines and performance, it fell short compared to its muscle cars competitors, with its large size and lackluster speed. This is more of a luxury car with a muscly feel to it. Therefore, I'm giving it a D tier, as it's not a true muscle car. Next, we have the 1968 Dodge Charger RT. Now, this Charger RT is known for its Coke bottle design and also its power, especially with the 426 Hemi becoming an icon for its raw power and aggressive styling. Its presence on the road is unmistakable, making it a standout in the muscle car era, and therefore this car also gets an S tier. The car was also available with the 440 Hemi, which oddly makes less power than the 426. Anyway, let's get on to the 1969 Pontiac Firebird 400. Now, the Firebird 400 was a capable muscle car with plenty of power, but it couldn't quite match the Mustang or Camaro's prestige in overall performance and market appeal. But it was a solid car, so therefore I'm giving it an A. Next up is the 1968 Ford Torino GT. The Torino GT was solid but uninspiring. It had a good V8 but didn't stand out from the competition. While decent in performance, it lacked the thrill in some more exciting muscle cars. This car was mostly just mid. I mean, it was a good car, it had a good V8, but it just really didn't appeal to many people. So I'm going to give it a C tier. Next, we have the 1966 Plymouth Barracuda Formula S. Now, the Barracuda Formula S had respectable performance, but it wasn't in the same league as top muscle cars of the time, like the Camaro or the GTO. Its smaller engine, the 273 cubic inch V8 producing 235 horsepower, dragged this car down from achieving an S tier, along with the lack of standout power, which also kept it from reaching a higher tier on this list. Therefore, this car gets a B tier. Next up, the 1967 Ford Fairlane 500 GT. The Fairlane 500 GT had a solid engine, but failed to make a lasting impact. It lacked the appeal and edge of its more famous competitors, and while it was an attempt at a muscle car, it didn't make much of a mark. Therefore, I'm giving the Ford Fairlane a D tier. Next, we have the 69 Dodge Dart GTS. The Dodge Dart GTS had a decent engine, but was overshadowed by more powerful cars of its time. It was a reliable muscle car, but it didn't offer the excitement or raw power of other competitors, or even cars within its own brand. Therefore, I'm giving this a C tier. It's also a mid car. Next, we have the Olds 442 from 1968. This car offered a good blend of luxury and performance. The 442 wasn't the fastest, but with its 400 cubic inch V8, it gave it the power it needed. Its performance was balanced with a more refined, comfortable driving experience from muscle cars. Therefore, I'm giving this car an A tier. Next, we have the 1969 Pontiac GTO. This car was known as the first true muscle car, as the GTO changed the game with its 389 cubic inch V8 engine and the car that started the muscle car craze. Its powerful engine and its bold styling earned it a lasting spot in muscle car history. Therefore, I'm giving the GTO an S tier, as it is up with the Camaro and the RT. Next, we have the 1968 Chevrolet Corvette 427. Though the Corvette had a powerful 427 cubic inch V8, it struggled in the muscle car arena. Its performance was hindered by handling issues, and it didn't quite match up to the muscle car standard of raw power and excitement. I'm giving this car a D tier. It was powerful, but in every other aspect, it wasn't a very good muscle car. Next, we have the 1968 Mercury Cougar XR7. The Cougar XR7 was more refined than other muscle cars of the time, but that refinement came at the cost of pure performance. While decent in power and styling, it didn't stand out as a muscle cars enthusiast top choice. Therefore, I'm giving it a B tier. Next up, we have the 1967 Buick Grand Sport 400. The Grand Sport 400 had decent power, but it didn't quite compete with the leading muscle cars of its time. Its performance was good, but not groundbreaking, and it lacked the excitement of more aggressive peers. So I'm giving this a C tier. The 1968 Ford Mustang Mach 1 was a perfect combination of power and handling. The Mach 1 was a solid choice for muscle car lovers. Its 428 Cobra jet engine gave it a remarkable speed and presence on the road, putting it in the top tier of this era. And lastly, we have another Mustang, the 1964 Mustang. This Mustang was the car that started the muscle car revolution. It wasn't really the GTO. I mean, yeah, sure there was the GTO beforehand, but the Mustang pales in comparison to the GTO. With its light construction and 289 cubic inch V8 in the upper trims, it was a car to be reckoned with. And also, really, does anybody remember the GTO before the Mustang, if you're not a car enthusiast? Like, when you think of the first muscle car, most people think of the Mustang, and only a few people will think of the GTO. And that's why I'm also giving this car an S tier, as it paved the way for other manufacturers to make their muscle cars. Anyway, that's it for my tier list. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like down below, and comment down below if you own one of these cars. If you really like this video, maybe consider subscribing. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one.